Hello, everybody, and welcome to another roundtable brought to you by Equal Eats. I'm Kyle Dine, and this one is a very timely one this time of year, being prepared for the holidays and dealing with relatives in regards to food allergies and, of course, any dietary restriction. We have a great panel this evening that's going to be talking about their experiences over the years, lots of different food talk, but getting into the nitty gritty details of how to set yourself up for success when dealing with family. I think sometimes we take it for granted. They're the ones that love us, they know us. But dealing with food allergies, there's a lot of different variables. We move away from home. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So, looking forward to chatting it up about this topic and hopefully providing you with some helpful tips, advice, and maybe some hacks that weren't on your radar before going into the this year's holiday season. So, without further ado, let's meet our panel. We'll go around the horn here and introduce ourselves. I've asked our panel to share a few details about themselves, their relationship to food allergy, where they're located, as well as their favorite holiday dish. So, Maeve, do you want to start us off today?
Sure. So my name's Maeve. I'm from Canada. So I have allergies myself. So I'm allergic to peanuts, tree nuts, eggs, shellfish, kiwi, and I'm also have oral allergy syndrome. So I'm allergic to a variety of raw fruits and raw vegetables, as well as latex, which not many people think, but it actually comes into the world of food and preparing food. I'm presently in my third year of nursing. And my favorite holiday dish probably has to be chocolate trifle with the whipped cream, chocolate cake, a safe chocolate bar, and some chocolate pudding all towered up.
Whoa, that's going on at your family functions? A trifle? That
Yep.
sounds amazing. Okay,
It's a pretty common dessert, actually.
I don't know how I get the invite, but I gotta be thinking. All right, thanks, Maeve. Really great to have you. Bianca, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Bianca and I'm a mom of a 12 years old boy, Lucas, who has severe food allergy to wheat, barley, rye, and eggs. We are Brazilians, but we are now in Hong Kong. And, I think I will tell about his favorite food. I think it's everything about meat. So if he has like a big piece of meat in his holiday celebrations, he's going to be very happy with that.
All right. Well, I'll have to segue with meat and do a self-introduction because that is my favorite dish of the holiday season. It is turkey time all the way. So very excited for turkey season. It is coming along. A little background about me. I have food allergies to peanut, tree nut, egg, fish, shellfish, and mustard. I'm from Canada as well, just like Maeve. And yeah, holiday time with my family, it's one of my favorite times of year. I really love big family dinners, but I do find it really challenging too. I've actually had one of my worst allergic reactions at a family function. So happy to share that story and more this evening. So glad to be speaking too. Next up, Kelsey, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I am Kelsey, excited to be on here today. My lovely laundry list of allergies, peanuts, tree nuts, dairy, wheat, rye, barley, soy, crustaceans, and kiwi, banana, and I also have oral allergy syndrome. So again, raw fruits and vegetables, those are always fun. So yes, I have a lot of allergies myself. I also work in the food and beverage industry and hospitality. So that's definitely played a big role in my food allergy journey. Favorite holiday dish? I'd have to say I make a very good potato vegetable kugel. I don't know if it'll make its way into Thanksgiving, but it's really good and it's my favorite for sure.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Is pumpkin okay for you, Kelsey?
Yes, big fan of pumpkin.
Okay, so is pumpkin pie ever possible?
It's definitely possible. The like mushiness of the texture isn't necessarily my thing. I'm more of a pumpkin muffin gal, but I'm open to it.
All right.
If there's any good recipe out there, send it my way.
Yeah, if whether in the chat or the comments, I would be interested. I've never had pumpkin pie myself. I would love to hear a safe recipe. And lastly, Tracy, go ahead.
Hi, you guys know me, Tracy Bush, Nutrimom. Now working with Kyle at Equal Eats. So happy to be here. I am the mom of a gonna be 22-year-old. He had multiple food allergies to eggs, uncooked dairy, watermelon, and shellfish and peanuts. So now I'm on the flip side of that. He's an adult living his life, and I'm kind of trying to figure out, as a food allergy mom, what happens next when food allergies aren't the main source of my life. But still loving food and love the challenges that came along with it because we grew. One of our favorite recipes that we had at especially Thanksgiving was something called pecanless pie. It was a nut-free pecan pie.
Awesome. And what gave it the crunch?
Gluten-free pretzels.
No way.
It's really good.
Fantastic. So creative. And I've never had pecan pie, but that also just sounds fantastic.
Mhm.
Thanks, Tracy. Really, really awesome to have you and the whole panel. Just appreciate your time. So we're going to be talking through a few different topics tonight. Throughout, if you are joining us, feel free to use the chat if you want to ask any questions. We'll try to intersperse any questions as we go, and then we'll have just general Q&A at the very end today. But the topics that we're going to be covering with broad strokes, with a lot of stories in between, overall best experiences. So starting off with the good, naming some times that went really well with relatives and your food allergies. And then we'll get into the most challenging experiences. There might be a little bit of venting at that point, which is totally normal. I've got some. And then we're going to try to round out the good, the bad, and summarize in terms of top tips of how can we learn from those really great experiences, and what did we get out of those challenges, and how can we move forward with less and less challenging experiences based on what we've learned. And then lastly, we'll bring it all right back to why it's all worth it. We don't eat Thanksgiving dinner alone. Hopefully, it's a time of year to be with friends and loved ones and celebrate. So why it's all worth it, and we'll tell hopefully some stories about some great experiences there too. So without further ado, best experiences around holidays and relatives. Are there any off the tip of your tongue in terms of a time where your family came together and you felt really safe, comfortable, included, awareness was high? Would love to hear any examples.
I think for us, it's more of me trying a new recipe and not telling anyone that it's free from, and they gobble it down and say how wonderful it is. And then I tell them after the fact and they enjoyed it.
I love that.
I think for me, one of the biggest ones, and I noticed it where Halloween just passed, is when family tries to get like special treats to have around, like little like mini chocolate bars or whatnot that are wrapped up. In particular, I was visiting my great grandmother over Halloween. And she does the same thing at Christmas. She always has treats out on her table, but she always makes sure they're safe, and she always likes to point it out. And you can tell how proud she feels, knowing that she's doing something safe for me. And I'm also so over the moon that she's putting in that effort as a 95-year-old to respect my allergies and keep me safe. So that's definitely a really good experience that I've had that plays throughout all the holidays.
Oh, that's so sweet. 95 and just keep learning and trying to grow and keep you safe. It's so wonderful.
I would say for me, I do a lot of my holidays with my aunt and uncle, and my cousins. And my cousin has a nut allergy herself, so there's definitely understanding on both sides, which is really nice. for me, I can't have a lot of baked goods as told by the entire list of allergies I just said. And my aunt is a really good baker. So after, I guess the first time she made allergy friendly pumpkin muffins, speaking of pumpkin muffins that I can have, she started making like double batches and then sending me home with like a dozen pumpkin muffins at the end of every single holiday. So now, I mean, regardless of the holiday, whether it's pumpkin season or not, she sends me home with like 12 pumpkin muffins that live in my freezer for the rest of however long until the next holiday. And so I get to pull them out of the freezer and have like a mini holiday every single time I take them out. So it's just that nice, I don't know, extra family hug that I get to pull out of the freezer knowing that somebody went out of their way to do something. And it's really nice.
So great. I don't know if it's just me, but when a relative finds that golden recipe that's safe and you love it, it's not the last time you're going to see it, right?
Absolutely not.
I love
I
that.
think once, like talking back to when the relative find the recipe that works, I think we were able to suggest some, recipes to our relatives. We are not a big family. So when we were getting together, because most of the time we have been abroad, so we go back, right? Like most of you do that, but we are a very small family. So sometimes we suggest that we are going to do the main dishes because we feel safe when we are on the top of everything. And we suggest, okay, you can bring some appetizer, you can do the sweet, and then we suggest. And I think it's very nice because now I see even my dad, for example, he goes to the supermarket and he takes the picture of the things that he's buying for us to help them, because sometimes they miss the may contain something, right? Or they cook, and when we arrive in their house, they didn't throw the can, everything they use, they save the packages of everything they use, and they made us read everything just to make sure that what they did is safe, right? So I think like we usually like to give them like some ideas, so I think that when they found, okay, now I learned that one, it's going to stay with them forever.
I love it. Especially just overall, the theme from everyone so far is just how good it is when people put in the effort. And whether it's taking photos of labels at the supermarket or 95-year-old grandma just trying to learn and just putting in that effort, it's not always perfect, but the fact that they're trying and they're actually being transparent about it and trying to get your advice is really a great step. For me, even just this summer, we had a family picnic, and my uncle's new girlfriend was just so wonderful about trying to understand my food allergies, somewhat new to her, and even bags of chips that were emptied out into bowls had homemade little labels of ingredients in front of them, and like there's a bowl of Smarties with ingredients and things like this. So I'm like, oh, that's really sweet that you put in that effort. Thank you. And you could have just given me the bag of chips. I would have taken a look myself, but it was that effort that she was just really trying. I really appreciate it. So love that. Any other experiences to share before we get into the flip side of things with challenges?
I think another thing too is seeing the effort when even people make phone calls. Like I've been going to family events and got a call ahead of time being like, these are like the dishes I'm planning on making. I know you might not be comfortable eating food made by another person, but I just want to go through all the ingredients to make sure that there's not going to be any of your allergens present. And they like read through every ingredient on the list. Even though they know I might not be consuming it, they know that it's going to be around. So they're putting that effort in to keep me safe, which is always so nice to see. And it just makes it more comforting going to family events.
I'm curious with that, Maeve, how does it make you feel? Are you do you embrace it? It makes you feel very comfortable, or is there a side of you that's almost feeling like you're doing too much? Don't worry about it. That I don't know. Sometimes with food allergy, we almost have a tendency to say we have it. Don't worry about it. I've got it myself.
I guess I sometimes try to embrace it because they're trying to put in the effort. And sometimes there may be a time where we're getting together, say with a family member, and we're like all coming together to make a meal where they in the past have put in the effort to keep me safe. They have that knowledge going into, say, a new event. And like too, like you said, totally there are times where you're like, oh, don't worry, I got it. But for me, some of my allergies are I do get really sick if there's any really strong smells present. So just knowing that I'm in a safe environment, being able to celebrate with family just makes it all the more comforting. So sometimes you just gotta full on embrace it.
Love it. Wonderful to hear. I'm sure there's going to be some other great experiences coming out throughout this chat, but has anybody ever had a challenging experience with relatives and food allergies? Now, don't all speak at once, but I'm sure that there's a couple. And I will preface this by saying anything that we say in these webinars, it's all coming from a place of love and learning, where everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes with my food allergies, and obviously our relatives are part of a learning experience too. So we love them all, but sometimes we do face challenges, absolutely. So if anybody has any stories from a challenging time, we'd love to hear.
I think for our,
sorry.
I think for our family, it was some of the stubbornness of the family members that didn't really understand food allergies. You know, they had the mindset of, oh, he can have just a little, so it's trying to change that mentality of, no, he can't even have that little bit. And, please respect my parental guidelines of, don't feed him these foods, don't sneak him these foods, don't encourage him to eat these foods. So I think that was a bit of a hurdle that we had to get over.
Yeah, the pushiness, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This has been played up before, that's for sure. We hear about it all the time, of just a little bit, just it won't hurt. Where obviously it's coming from a place of just a different awareness there, and as you said, a little bit of stubbornness.
I want to mention that we had to change, I think, some traditions, because they were used to have this and that. For example, for our family, it's very common to have potato salad that is made with eggs. And then they were like, how are we not going to have potato salad, right? So I think we had to change some traditions. And like, for example, for us, the turkey always comes with like a cassava flour that is fried with olives and egg again. So we had, okay, so the turkey cannot be decorated with all these little beautiful things, because, so I think we had to go through, change some of the traditions, right? Not all, like, yes, especially because when we are only with the four of us, right, it's easier to change some of the traditions that me and my husband had. But then when you have many people, I think it was a challenge, to get to the point that, okay, today you cannot eat that thing anymore in your holiday celebration.
Yeah, that is such a really incredible point, Bianca, of just food traditions and how much that can be ingrained in our families and cultures as well. I think for me, that wasn't so apparent in my life. It's just food until marrying into another family where there are traditions revolving food that I absolutely cannot eat. So I get you 100% with that one. And I'm curious, how was it taken? About the potato salad or any other dishes that were.
I think we started inviting people. Okay, we are doing in our house, right? So we were saying, oh, because we were, of course, people wanted to help, but we're like, oh, we want to host this holiday, right? I think we started like that. And then I think little by little they got, I think there were some members that still will have it, separate, you know, but then in the end we wanted to have the whole table safe, like Maeve says, like sometimes you are not going to eat even knowing that it's not safe, but we just wanted to give him this freedom, you know, whatever, or you don't need to be worried that someone need to wash the hands before coming back to the table, you know, the things that he's very worried about, or if someone is going to kiss him or hug him, right? He will be worried about. So we wanted him to have this opportunity to feel very, very safe. I think it took some time, but nowadays we feel, now it's 12 years, right? So it's good. Now it's okay. Now we mention that and okay, we understand. You know, they figured out ways to do the potato salad without egg. Okay, so they were able, it was a learning experience for everyone. So I think we need to be a little resilient too, right? Sometimes we cannot be, but I think you can, you know how far you can go, right? Related to the security issue. Okay, maybe if the person has it separate this time, okay, until she understands that next time she should not, right? It's hard because it comes sometimes from very close, like grandmother, right? So it's hard, but it's better now.
Yeah, well, hey, and starting new traditions, it sounds like with your family, where over time, slowly but surely, over 12 years, introducing new things. And at the end of the day, if you get to have worry-free hugs and kisses with family, that sounds great. That's what it's all about.
I think to add on to Bianca's with the traditions, like I know this isn't necessarily food allergy related, but even changing traditions such as like I'm allergic to real trees that you might put up for Christmas. So I found changing traditions like that to artificial trees was almost like the first step to changing traditions related to food, because once they can visibly see the change that having an artificial tree had on my life, whereas when they had the real tree, like I was having like swollen eyes, they were seeing those reactions. So now I felt like it kind of helped them understand what might happen if I was to ingest a food that wasn't safe. So food traditions, they were able to see how that might, it kind of put into perspective for them how that might end.
Yeah, it's just the overall safe environment is a wonderful point. Uh, I'm an 80s baby, and I specifically remember growing up Christmas time, and there were nutcrackers with big bowls of nuts around the parties, the Christmas parties that we would go to. And it was just the nuts everywhere, and the shells and the cracking of them. And it was a really unsafe time. And I remember that just getting phased out over time, just with being open about how uncomfortable that made me to my parents, and then they started realizing this just isn't going to happen anymore where places we go. So absolutely, whether it's the tree, decorations, all of these things. Thanks, Maeve. Any other challenges that you've faced specifically over the holidays? I know we've covered a lot on yeah, we've covered, you know, we have a theme here of Thanksgiving, kind of Christmas time, December holidays, but also birthdays, other family celebrations too, where relatives are together. Have you ever had experiences just with perhaps cross-contamination, cross-contact at all with family members, and them not understanding the nuances of keeping safe?
Yes. For us, it was a lot of when people would either use their fork to take some more, a second helping, or, you know, take the utensil that's specified for one dish and put it on, you know, touching something else. So we learned early on that when everyone sat down, I made sure that my ate his plate first, so that he got a big helping of whatever he could eat safely. He didn't have to worry about anyone else touching it. But yeah, that was a big thing. People sticking their fork in, and they didn't mean to do it. It was just their habit, but it's still something that they don't even think of that could be fatal. So.
Yeah,
I think.
go ahead, Kelsey.
No, when oh, Kelsey, sorry, I didn't
Oh, you're
see.
good. Go for it.
No, because when Maeve said that they can see her swollen eyes, I think it's very bad, but it's also, I will agree that it make them to understand faster what can happen, because now after she said that, and I shared that our holidays are much better now, I remember that we had an episode when Lucas, who is my oldest son, he had a reaction during the baptism of his younger brother, right? So it was after the church, and we were having, it was like close to the end when he started to have some signs, and it was the first time that my family saw that, because of course we don't live with them, we are there just in special occasion. So everybody was like, no, nothing is going to happen, and we were like, it is happening, and then they went through the epi, we run to the hospital. So I think it probably a lot changed after that very sad experience.
Sorry to hear that, but it sounds like it was an eye-opener for everybody.
Yes, it's like it was when they learned that a little, it's a lot, this is what happened.
Yeah, it's definitely very different when people see it visually. And, it's food allergies, unless it's happening, is an invisible disease. Unless they're seeing what happens, from the reaction, it's almost like they need proof that it's actually happening. They shouldn't need the proof, but, if you don't have food allergies, that's understandable. You don't know what's going to happen. And so, yeah, I understand that.
Well, I remember my worst reaction really dovetails off this, and that when I was a teenager, I really gave off the persona that I've got it, don't worry about it, friends, family, I'm invincible, don't worry, I've got it all under control. And it took a Christmas dinner with my family where I took some risks. I didn't ask enough questions about the food that was getting made. And my grandmother, who was very, very busy making a whole dinner for about 15 people, I asked her a question about the dessert and she got distracted. I think I got some wrong information. And at the time, it seemed too good to be true that, this plate of brownies is okay for me. All right, that shouldn't be okay for me. And I grabbed one and I took a bite and I had a full-blown anaphylactic reaction. And my whole family saw me go through that, and it was just incredibly scary to go through that, and then just to have it surrounded by everybody that loves you watching you go into anaphylactic shock, EpiPens and 911 and ambulances. And yeah, it was an absolutely horrific experience for our family, but it was one where everybody absolutely takes it seriously now, and it's a whole nother level for my family. And sadly, it's they all took it seriously before that, but that put it on a different level. So the kicker of that story is that I remember being in the hospital for hours and hours and hours afterwards, and I called my grandma and I said, don't worry about it, this is my condition, I need to own it, I need to be better at staying safe. And I remember asking, is there any turkey left by any chance? They ate all the turkey. So, worst Christmas ever, that's for sure. But a lot of lessons were learned. Kelsey, did you have something that you were going to share there?
Yeah, I guess more on the positive note of asking questions about what's in things, which is definitely something I think we can all agree that we recommend. Even if it's something you've had every single holiday, every single time, double checking is always really important. I think it was last Christmas, maybe I was at my cousin's house and they had made like a beautiful piece of brisket or steak or something that this time was marinated in soy sauce. That, there are gluten-free soy sauces. That was not the one that was used. And it was just the double check of what else is in this and running through the list was what kind of raised the red flag in my mind. So I didn't eat it. But if it was any other holiday, if I didn't think to ask, I would have eaten it. I would have gotten sick and it would not have been great. And my aunt who makes these pumpkin muffins would have felt awful for doing it when everybody makes mistakes. So I think that, yes, everybody makes mistakes, and even the people who are doing their best to make sure that we're eating safely and and are doing all of those pieces, it's still our responsibility to ask the questions and to make sure that everything that we're consuming is 100% okay.
Absolutely. You were talking top tips now,
Indeed.
and I love it. Especially the fact that you raise a good point in that, with family, we're not with them all the time, and they are doing their best, and it's amazing when they put that effort in, but they are human, and when they're not dealing with these food allergies like we are day in and day out, the intricacies of knowing soy sauce has wheat in it versus there are a couple brands, it seems like, without wheat. It's tough. So would love to hear, just through your positives, your negatives over the years, what could be some of the top tips that we could provide the audience in terms of not only staying safe for people with food allergies at family gatherings, but advice to family members themselves.
Yeah. So I mean, that one is definitely ask all of the questions, especially when the food's in front, because someone's able to look at it and be able to like recount everything that was put into it. And sometimes people deviate from recipes, so being able to ask those questions in real time is also really helpful. Also still look at the food. I mean, I always recommend this anytime I'm talking about allergy things and eating safely. Always look at what you're eating and make sure that all of the all the stars align. And if something doesn't, then to still, I mean, follow your instincts as far as that goes. I know, talking to a lot of allergy people, we do all have that sixth sense about this is safe, this is not safe. And being able to trust that regardless is really, really important. And then just what we've been doing, at least, especially when it comes to like areas of cross contamination, like dips, like hummus, like anything where there could be cross contamination, I use a different color, a different like type of plate. And what we started saying, like, okay, like the blue bowl is like Kelsey's hummus. This is Kelsey's separate thing. So to know that it's kind of this away from the main event, kind of on the side, do not touch, off limits, kind of options. So if you have that, I definitely recommend it, especially for like side dishes and things like that. And kind of keeping everything separate. We always have like the glutinous items and then the non-glutinous items, and make sure that that's completely separate. And then just reminding everybody as you're going through, okay, this is gluten, this is not gluten. So the repetition is always helpful too.
That's great. Just the color reminder, constant to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just keeping on their mind too.
Yes.
I think, I mean, it might sound self-explanatory, but like talking about your allergies, like even bringing them up before holidays, having conversations about them, different things like that. Like I've found past couple years, I've been very open, say on social media, talking about like on my personal Facebook, as well as my Beyond Anaphylaxis Instagram page and Facebook, just talking about them and having like my friends and family attached to those pages, but also like when we meet up and have like events, like talking about like, oh, I found this new safe food that doesn't have my allergens, like conversation starters like that, I find really helpful because it brings up and might trigger their memory of, oh yes, Maeve has allergies. And for myself, I actually have multiple people in my family with food allergies. I have 2 uncles with peanut and tree nut, an aunt with kiwi, a grandmother with kiwi, cousin with kiwi, and 2 other cousins with peanut and tree nut. I kind of have the laundry list. I collected them all. But I find I'm also able to help those ones out if they're not as confident or as eager yet to talk about their allergies. I'm bringing it up. And to, like we were talking about, having a reaction sometimes had to be eye-opening for some people in my family. And yet there are still some that 9 anaphylactic reactions later in the past 2 years, still they don't really remember, which people are allowed to forget. But it is hard knowing, like, for example, we had a family gathering this summer, and my uncle was present who had a peanut and tree nut allergy as well. And my grandfather prepared a salad that had nuts in it. And didn't say anything about it. And my uncle went to take a spoonful of the salad and kind of looked and was like, is there nuts in this? And just simple things like that, having that conversation regularly, I find bringing it up in conversation is a great way to keep it in people's minds to keep you safe.
Thanks for sharing that, Maeve. Yeah, I think I take it for granted that it's everything I put in my mouth. It's constant thought, and this is not the reality for the other 92% of the population. It's easy breezy. So the fact that things slip, absolutely. And I love that tip, just to keep it on top of people's minds as you approach the holiday season.
And I think when you talk about people can make mistakes, we like the people that go through that suffer from food allergy also can somehow miss something. I think one of the top tips is that don't forget your epi and all your medication when you go out, right?
We would be amiss without that tip. Absolutely, always having the epinephrine backup for sure. It's the time of year when you let your guard down. We're always thinking about restaurants. Bring your epinephrine with you, but home is a safe place. But you have a lot of different dynamics here. People forgetting different dishes that you're not normally having. It's just, if not more important, to have your epinephrine and more with you. Thank you, Bianca, for that. And, reminding people of your emergency plan. What does an allergic reaction look like? What needs to happen in that case? To let your relatives know that as well.
I think also, a reminder, some people tend to get a little fussy because of your food allergies. They'll actually say it's an inconvenience because of their recipes, menus, whatever. Always remember to advocate for yourself. Your food allergy is not an inconvenience. If you have to bring your own plate of food to be safe, then bring your own plate of food. You have to advocate, you have to be safe. And ultimately it's your health. It's not the person that is upset about what they can't serve because of your food allergies.
Well said. Well said. I think, trying to be part of the solution, helping them out, offering guidance, tips, dishes, making the main course. But it does come to a point where you still just need to advocate for yourself if you're still hitting resistance.
I think it's also too really important to encourage family members to ask questions. I know I've had family members ask, well, could you eat it? So for example, I'm allergic to raw egg, baked egg, but I can eat egg cooked into things. So I often have family members asking, well, could you eat this? Or could you eat this? Or if I prepared it like this, having them ask questions also starts that conversation, like I was saying before. But it also shows, we've been talking about, they're putting the effort in, but it's also they're building their knowledge on allergies. So I've also been asked about, we have a very cleaning protocol at home about if my parents are baking with eggs, how the kitchen's cleaned afterwards, whatnot. I've had family members be like, well, how do your parents cook or bake at home? And then I can explain to them the procedures we follow at my house, which I've had family members implement at their house when I'm coming over to say visit.
Nice.
It's wonderful to hear. And that's it. There, that type of effort and learning going on, just that must make you feel so good.
The same happens when these days we get an invitation to another party that sometimes, for example, Lucas is not going, but I think it's because we are going. They put a note, if you have any allergy, please, it's so nice that you see it more often now.
It's amazing. And I think we'll segue into why it's all worth it. We're not the only ones dealing with food allergies, and we're probably not the last ones that they're going to be encountering with food allergies. So the fact that they're learning and they're growing and they're showing compassion and empathy is wonderful. So I say it's worth it on their end, because these are great things to have as skills, to be able to cater to people who are different, which is not going away. But in terms of, for us, we can get mushy here. Why is it worth it to see these relatives every now and then and put up with all of this?
Definitely peace of mind. Best case, don't want to have a family memory of a holiday where someone has a reaction. That would be not so wonderful. Food often is, like someone else said, a ritual, a tradition, and it should be something that brings us together. It shouldn't be something that tears us apart.
I love that. Really well said.
It's building memories, right? So if I think about, like, I was not a kid growing with food allergy, but I have so many memories. So I want my kids to experience, or any other person, right? But especially if you are a kid, I think it's such an important part of your life. So we need to make like big efforts, and we need to bring up awareness, right? I think we are all doing what we should be doing, right? And I think here and there we see many good, I know that there are many good experiences and memories from these moments that we were able to safely spend time together.
Wonderful.
Yeah, to echo that, I mean, holidays are literally about spending time with the people that you love and having fun. And food is part of that. Food is love, food is culture. So being able to make it work for everybody is important. Nobody wants to have it end in disaster. And being able to share that culture with everybody who's part of it is really important. And it's literally what the holidays are about.
Yeah, it's got to be worth all the travel, all the hassle of getting there. So it's absolutely, Kelsey, well put.
Yeah, that was really well put. So I don't really like following it up because
Thank you.
but I think as someone too, like who has experienced, like my last day of high school, for me, I went into anaphylactic shock. And your last day of high school is a big deal, especially I graduated during COVID times. Like everyone came to school that day. Like we just had, it was supposed to be a great last day with all your friends that I went to school with for 13 years. And unfortunately, that memory didn't end the way I would have liked it. And it's not a holiday, but it's still a gathering of friends and people who are pretty much like family. And I've also recently, a friend's birthday and ended in anaphylactic shock. So they're not memories you want to have per se, but when you do get those good, happy memories of like spending Christmas together safely, or Easter or Halloween or whatnot, it's just memories long lasting, like we've all said.
Yeah.
And I think, with family, it's about accepting each other, and same with friendships. And that's obviously no family is perfect, but I think in things that make us different, in the adversity that we face, whether it's reactions, whether it's being offended by saying no to a dish, all of these things I think can make our family stronger, going through these things. So sometimes it's a long road with a lot of challenges and stubbornness, and sometimes it's an easier road. Sometimes they need to see reactions in the flesh for it to change, and sometimes it's just tell me more, I'm willing to change. So for anybody that's watching today, whatever your journey and struggle is with your family, know that it is here, there, and everywhere in terms of what's normal. There's no black and white. All families are what they are, and hopefully you gain some tips today to learn some new strategies to advocate for yourself, to hopefully be part of that solution to help them be more aware and accommodating of you over the holiday season. And know that you're definitely not alone, but it is worth it. Sometimes it can be a struggle and a hard road, but just don't give up, because family's for life, right? So you gotta keep pushing on that. So we do have some time now, just for anybody that wants to ask any questions at all, any other in chat, anybody that's watching, happy to put out any other questions to the panel here. All right. Well, otherwise, we'll wrap it up then, and we'll keep an eye on questions on the archive version of this webinar. So I do want to just do one more big thank you overall for our panel for taking time away from their families to be with us. So thank you, Bianca, Tracy, Kelsey, and Maeve. Really appreciate it. And I hope you all get your favorite holiday dish this year, whether it's your son getting some meat or whether it was pumpkin muffins. That just sounds great. I wish you all a wonderful holiday season with your family. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.